Hi, Tim Cross here. I think some of you know me and some of you may have never met me, but yet you've seen some posts and you might have even made some comments about me. So I thought I'd take a moment and come on and address some of the comments that have been made locally and on some of these posts on Facebook and other, social media platforms, and just explain a little bit of where I come from and where my ministry comes from concerning the situation with Mark Barkley Ministries in Midland, Michigan. Some people have said, that we've really said nothing. We've sort of been silent. Well, that is not true. And I'm coming out here, but the years that things have been going on and that the situation has been going on in Midland, we have not been silent. We've just not chose to be on social media. We have addressed some things with our church. We have had leaders meetings and we have spent some time with our leaders, the various levels of leaders in our church. And as well, we have made ourselves available to anybody that had questions. And so people would come and we would answer questions based on, what they've heard and do our best to address the situation. And even here this past weekend, we addressed our church publicly. Now, we've just not chosen to go on social media and expose everything out there and, in a sense, air the dirty laundry. We have addressed it within our church, and we will continue to address it with our congregation and leadership as we see necessary. Now, one of the things I also want to address is our continued connection to Mark Barkley Ministries and the Righteous Preachers Network. We have, as a church and as a church corporation, we have adjusted some of our things in our bylaws, and the truth is there are no legal connections between us and Mark Barkley Ministries. This has been a very, very difficult situation because we've been connected with Mark Barkley Ministries for over 40 years. Now, in the midst of all that has transpired, some of my staff has chosen not to renew their credentials through Mark Barkley Ministries and the Righteous Preachers Network. We've even taken a look at our involvement, and we are limiting some of our involvement with some of the Mark Barkley, activities and conferences and things like that. We are monitoring that situation, but this is an extremely difficult situation for us. And within the Righteous Preachers Network, there's hundreds of churches and hundreds of ministers that have been a part of that network, and many of them are friends. We have known them for years, and so this has just been a difficult time. And there are some that have left the network. There are some that have left Mark Barkley Ministries that we love and that are friends of ours, but we still love them and we're friends. And there are some that have stayed and we love and we respect them as well. We respect both. This has been a very, very difficult situation. And even across the nation and over the last few years, even the last decades, there are churches and there are denominations that have gone through stuff like this. And it is a very difficult time, and it is very difficult in dealing with all the attachments and et cetera. And we are dealing with those things, and we're doing our best to do it with integrity and with love and et cetera. We're working through that, and we will continue to monitor the situation, and our church board will make decisions accordingly. Now, another thing I want to address that has been put on some of the social media platforms is my personal involvement with James Randolph, which was Dr. Barkley's son-in-law that has been convicted in court and is facing probably a sentencing and maybe even life in prison. Somebody said that I had spent 8 years mentoring him, and I've been a mentor or leader in his life for over 40 years. Well, most of that is not true in the least bit. I spent 27 years going into prisons and ministering to prisoners, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. I was in prisons. Most of those were in Muskegon. We have 3 prisons in the Muskegon area, and most of that time was in those prisons. One time I went to the Ionia Temporary Facility and ministered there and taught Dr. Barkley's Bible School curriculum. And in that one time that I went to the Ionia Temporary Facility, I believe in the early 90s, I met James Randolph. That was my one time that I met him. I did not take him to Dr. Barkley. I did not introduce him to Dr. Barkley. I did not mentor him for 8 years. I have not been a major voice in his life for decades, kind of thing. I know James Randolph, but I did not have I did not have that type of activity in his life. So I wanted to clear that up because what was stated was not true. Now I want to take a moment and maybe address one of the more difficult things in this whole situation. I want to talk about the victims for a second. I'll never know and I'll never understand, although we have ministered to those that have been sexually abused, had horrendous things done to them. I'll never understand the depth of all that, how that affects them. But I want to talk to the victims for a second. I am so, the courage that it took for them to share that, to come out. I salute them for that. My heart goes out to you. And I also want to be honest enough to say that when these charges first came out, when these accusations first came out, I've known these men that were accused for over 30 years. And I never thought they could do something that egregious, that wrong. And there were questions all the way through things. And even after the conviction, there were still thoughts I wondered. But it's when I read the letters, I read the letters of those that had been abused. And I sat and I heard what they said. And if I heard the heart of it, and my heart broke. And I thought, my goodness, they weren't lying. They were telling the truth. So I want to say maybe to the victims, I apologize that I didn't believe you. As one of those in the Righteous Preachers Network, I didn't believe you, and I ask you to forgive me. And my heart goes out to you, and I salute you for the courage that it took for you to bring this out and take this and really confront some people that you loved and that were family to you. And I know that I'll never know the depth of it, but I know that was a very, very difficult thing for you to do. And I salute you for having done it. Hey, I want to thank you for giving us a few moments to share a little bit of our side of the story and address at least some of the mistruths that were there, and at least just share some of our perspective. We recognize that this has been hard on all sorts of levels and on many different people, and especially the victims. And we're not going to get on to an online debate, and we don't really plan on doing more of these videos. But we wanted to address some of this. We realize that you have decisions to make. We on our end have decisions to make, and we're doing everything within our ministry to put up safeguards so that children and young adults, youth, can come to our church and be safe there. We're doing our best to learn everything we can from this and use this as being somewhat instructional to us and to protect those that God entrusts to our care. We trust that you'll take some time. Please take a few moments. At least consider some of the things we've said. Some of you may have already prejudged us and you already have your opinions, and probably nothing I said makes any difference to you. But I realize that there are some others out there. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my heart, share our perspective, and at least put that in your thought process. God bless you. Hi, Tim Cross here. I think some of you know me, and some of you may have never met me, and but yet you've seen some posts, and you might have even made some comments about me. So I thought I'd take a moment and come on and address some of the comments that have been made locally and on some of these posts on Facebook and other, social media platforms, and just explain a little bit of where I come from and where my ministry comes from concerning the